Man of the year, man of the year, man of the year. Welcome to the number one friendship podcast in the country. I'm Aaron Karo.
I'm Matt Ritter.
And make sure to go to manoftheyearpodcast.com to grab our merch. So, Matt, today I want to talk to you about the concept of tenure. Usually when we think of tenure, we think of like professors, but some people have sent us articles about tenured friends. These are friends you've known so long. They're basically contractually obligated to be your friend for life. A professor who has tenure has job security. So does a friend who has tenure. You don't have to worry about where you stand. And tenured professors also have a lot of deep knowledge of their field. Your tenured friend would have deep knowledge of you. And there's a few other analogies. Initial thoughts.
Well, my first thought is that the word tenure used to be super positive and aspirational, but lately it feels like tenure. It's like, oh, we can't fire this guy. He's got tenure. She's done something unspeakable, should be canceled, but damn it, she's got tenure. So now I feel like the term tenure has been just a little tainted, but I love it. I just want to, like, have you noticed lately, like it went from being like, oh man, I just, tenured professors, so respectable. Now it's like, oh, these tenured professors are really speaking out of turn.
Yeah, they call it the ivory tower.
Oh yeah. But I love the concept. Tenured friends. I never heard that one before. You had sent me an article about it.
Well, interesting thing is there are some potentially negative aspects of it, which we'll get to. But some other interesting sort of analogies was that your tenured friends have office hours, meaning that you know where to find them when you need them.
I like that.
Tenured professors, you have to buy their textbook, which is like an analogy for like you have to go to their show or support their endeavors.
I would say the racket for the tenured book buying is even worse than forced to go to your friend's shows.
The college kids still have to buy the book now? Are there books?
What's crazy is the college costs have gotten astronomical.
Yeah.
And the book was always the same exact book, but then every year they would add like one leaflet of a page that you had to buy the whole new book for. Right? Because it was like they would update the edition with like two new. I mean, it was one of the most criminal rackets that exist on the planet. The professor the book one, right?
Is it still? Yeah, the kids.
I don't know.
Yeah, do we have any college? Do we know any college kids?
And it hurt our backs. I mean, I'm crippled basically. My vertebrae are never recovered from just decades of just lugging around. What, 40 pounds worth of books? How much?
Yeah,
how much
you ever like drive by a bus stop in LA and the backpack is bigger than the kids?
Yeah, but now, at least now, the kids have rolling suitcase backpacks.
Honestly, like this is the worst generation alpha.
You know what word you don't hear a lot about this Gen Alpha? Scoliosis. You remember every third kid in our school had scoliosis because they were 60 pounds carrying around 54 pounds of textbook.
When I think about like our childhood sort of health, like what they were looking for, it was lice and scoliosis. Those are the two big scourges.
Yeah, but one of them has been eliminated, I think. Scoliosis. Lice is definitely still very active.
Yeah, you're aware of that?
I'm not looking forward, from a family member's kid, but I'm not looking forward to that one where we all have to shave our heads when Brenner gets lice.
Right.
That's my move, by the way. I just decided I'm going to shave my head if I get lice as an adult.
Well, I think that's what you have to do.
No, it's not even remotely what you have to do.
No, what do you do?
You have to go to a random woman who's the liceologist who lives in Crown Heights, and you pay her, I think, $400 to sit your entire family one by one in her bathroom, and she picks out each knit one by one.
I think you just get a prescription shampoo and you're good.
Nope. You got to go to the women in Crown Heights.
So, what do you think about the concept of like a friend you've known so long that, you don't have to worry about where you are with them? And we actually have a listener question sort of about this, but like, do you think it's healthy?
I agree that certain privileges should affix to friendships that have achieved a certain length of time and just, quality, that once you get to that threshold, I think the bar gets a little higher for like, they get a little more leeway, let's just say.
So one of the other things that someone had said is that tenured friends, they grade you on a curve, or you grade them on a curve.
Right. Right. So I think once you know your friend's flaws pretty deeply, like tenure, like the way we know each other, like I screwed up the podcast upload last week. It's like, that's just Matt being Matt, like on some level, you got to go, okay, this is one of my lifelong friends, and they're just kind of doing the thing that's in their like flaw range. Fine. It's a different thing if like somebody completely betrays you. I don't think you should be like, well, they're tenured, so they get to sleep with my wife. You know what I mean? Like there's a like range of acceptable grade curving. I think that's right.
So one thing we talk about in the podcast is sort of watering your friends, nurturing your friends. I do worry, and this is going back to the first thing you said jokingly about real professors, that if you have tenure, you have a tendency to not water that friendship because, like, yeah, Matt, it's fine. I don't need to hang out with him or reach out to him because he's just Matt.
So do you think this is maybe exactly what this podcast is about? Do you think this concept of tenure is something that subconsciously we've all been using to our detriment as men, especially?
Ooh, I see what you're saying. So in other words, well, Jim's my buddy. He's always been my buddy. I've known him since middle school. I don't see Jim or
I
hang
don't
out with him.
I don't call him. I don't write him. I don't send him cards.
Yeah.
I think about him occasionally, but I never tell him I was thinking about him. I never tell him the things I like about him. I never compliment him. I see him every couple of years, and then we rib each other, and then everything's cool. So I think a lot of guys think that they're cool, and now we're realizing, oh, actually, I'm sad and lonely, and I would like to have better, higher quality friendships. And then people tell us, oh, I have no friends. And it's like, no, we know that's not true. You have a lifetime of friendships you've built up, even to the point where some of your friends are tenured because you've known them 30 years, but you just take them for granted.
I think you probably had this experience too. Whenever I'm out in the field, as we call it, and I ask someone about their friends, I usually ask a woman about her husband's friends or their partner's friends. And she'd be like, yeah, he has no friends. And then she's like, well, he's got these 3 buddies, but he doesn't really talk to them or see them. He's lonely. I'm like, well, I mean, your answer is right in front of you.
By the way, not only is your answer right in front of you, why don't we take a step back? We've never said this one on the pod. Before you say, I have no friends, why don't you picture your 3 best friends standing right beside the person you're saying that to?
Right. They're like, hey.
Right? Like, how insulting is that to your 3 lifelong tenured friends of 30 years that have a deep, abiding love and respect for you and would be there for you in a heartbeat if you called them, to just casually be like, me, I have no friends.
Do you think that men and women treat their tenured friends differently?
Yes. I think women do a lot better job of showing the appreciation on occasion, the way they birthday for each other, the way they celebrate.
Are we using birthday as a verb now? Like summer?
I think so. I think we are.
Wait, use that in another sentence.
The way that Jessie birthdays for her friends, I've never seen anything like it. They have matching jackets and they put patches on it for each other every time there's a birthday.
What is this?
They have these leather jackets. They're like the pink ladies. They have these not leather. They have these jean denim jackets, and each birthday they add another patch for the different person, I guess, that represents them.
What? Okay.
Yes.
So generally how many people are in the group?
5.
So each year they add 5 patches to the jacket?
Each year they each add 1 to the jacket.
Oh, you get a patch for your birthday?
Yeah.
And is it based on a skill like, oh, you learned how to do archery?
I don't even know. I've never actually looked at the patches closely enough to know. I mean, they could be like, I literally have no idea. They could be axe throwing patches, or they could be like little phrases that the girls. I have to go look in the closet after this pod.
Listen, that is, as we know, the genesis of the pod is that we give a trophy to our friends every year. I mean, a jacket. I like a jacket.
Yeah. Well, I like the patches though better than the jacket. Not just the jacket. I like the patches because it's like our trophy. It's not just our trophy. We engrave a new name every year.
I'm going back to birthday as a verb. So I would say, hey, I'm thinking about birthdaying at this bar. What do you think?
I like it. I mean, I created it, so obviously I'm a little biased.
Birthday as a verb.
Yeah, birthday is a verb. We gotta hit that. Listen, why don't we just do it? Hey, audience, will you please message us if you like birthday as a verb? How do you birthday for your friends? How do you birthday for your friends?
It's really growing on me because we have coined friending as a verb.
Yeah, birthday.
Feel
it, Karo. Did you feel it?
Wait,
hold on. We were just talking about
men versus women. Yeah.
Women are better at. So I do think women are better at still showing their tenured friends appreciation.
Right.
I mean, having tenured friends is a blessing. Like that's the apex level. You get to that tenured point where you feel so comfortable with that friend and they know everything about you and your flaws and all, and they accept you. I mean, they're basically family at that point.
This is actually one thing I wanted to bring up because another tenet of the pod is doing social inventory and audit of your friends. And we have a bunch of a rubric, which is like, do you have friends you can go to for if you need support? If you have friends who are the good time Charlies, the Matts of the world. But one thing I potentially wanted to add was diversity, not like diversity of like ethnicity, but like diversity of like tenured friends, new friends, like close friends, far friends. Like, what do you think about having a blend?
Why shouldn't they have ethnically diverse friends, Karo?
No, that too. But this is how people lose tenure or get tenure.
No, I know. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. No, I do think it's great to have a mix, and I think maybe sometimes there's something to be said for like you feel a little stale when you only hang out with your tenured friends, and so maybe the best, healthiest sort of social fit friend universe is adding a new friend every now and then. What do you think?
By the way, for those of you listening audio, we also have a YouTube. Matt's wearing glasses today, which he usually doesn't wear, and everything has a little bit more of an air of like professorialness, which is ironic for this topic, and I don't like it.
Is it ironic, or do I seem exactly like the professor who has tenure who's going to get canceled, but they can't?
Yeah.
So then what do they do, right? What do they do? Those professors, they put them in like optional classes, right? They take them off the like mandatory track.
I still like get a once a week newsletter from the Daily Pennsylvanian, which is our alma mater, which by the way, we're on the cover of the alumni magazine. Check that out. And it had a list of like, it's for undergrads, but it had a list of the 5 easiest classes. Do you think you'd be offended if you're the professor?
Depends on what it is. I mean, if it's like a rock climbing class or whatever, or like, is it, like if it's one of those classes that's like clearly the topic is kind of silly.
Or, right, but they don't think it's silly.
Like, hey, Quentin Tarantino movies and how they reflect the new generation of dialogue in America.
Right. Did you see, I don't want to get too far off topic, but there's a new trend now, okay, talking about college and professors, that liberal, how STEM is like, that's the thing, you major in engineering, you code, don't become a English major, like,
right.
Supposedly that's coming back. Have you seen that?
What's coming back? Liberal arts?
Yes, because you don't need to know how to code anymore because AI will do it.
Right. Okay.
But you do need to be a master of the language because it's the one thing that like computers may never be able to do, either teaching it or moderating it or whatever. So like English is coming back.
So are we now saying learn to Shakespeare?
Okay, you took it too far as usual.
Learn to code is now learn to Shakespeare?
Yeah, but they're going to add, it's going to be STEAM instead of STEM, adding arts.
What is the A for STEAM?
Huh?
What's the A? Arts? What's the
arts?
A?
Yeah. Arts. Yeah.
Science, technology, arts, math,
engineering, arts, math.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I still think liberal arts degrees are not going to be worth as much as any of those other ones.
But literally, you don't need to code it anymore. Anybody can do it.
Yeah, but the kind of learning, I don't know. I think being actually tested and like I think the things you learn in STEM versus it's a different type of learning. One of them is kind of like casual messing around, learning soft skills, which I think are also valuable. Depends. I mean, it depends on what you end up doing. Soft skills are definitely valuable, but I think hard skills are actual real skills, and like they'll always be applicable somehow.
I don't love that our like lifeblood is called a soft skill.
Soft skills.
Yeah.
Right. What skills do you have? Well, I can't really explain them because they're very soft.
Soft
they're not really.
just,
you can't really put your finger on what value I offer to this universe.
Should we take a listener question?
Sorry, no. So
no, he said no. Okay.
Where were we on this tenured friends thing? Oh, I wanted to ask you a question.
Yes.
What is the appropriate length of time to give a friend tenure? 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years?
Wow. Well, because you want to give room for people. Like if you make a new friend in your 40s, you need to, it can't be
Karo algorithm here.
Right. I think it decreases as you get the older you get.
Right. If you're in your 90s, you could make tenure 1 year in that senior living home.
Right. I think it's probably, there's got to be some math. It's your age divided by 5.
So, okay. Right. Okay. So if you're 40, then it's 8 years. If you're 30, it's 6 years.
No, I wanted to go the other way. So that's wrong then. Because it should grow, it should get shorter the older you get.
Right. Okay,
so it's got to be your age times like whatever.
By the way, soft. We're not STEM. Soft skills.
Soft skills. These skills our skills are so soft. They're buttery. By the way, do you count on your hands? Because I do.
What do you mean? Like 1, 2?
Yeah.
I started doing it with Brenner. I go 1, 2, 3, 4. But I realized I do it like this. Weird. Like I go what? I go 1, 2. How do you count? I go with my thumb. Start with my thumb.
Okay, so just for our listeners, Matt says 1 with his thumb, which is when you're counting your hand, which is a sociopath behavior. 2 with his thumb and his pointer finger.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's what
you should be taken away.
How you count?
Okay, so I count, and to our listeners, pointer finger, peace sign, 3, pinky's 4, thumb is 5.
Wait, show me. I can't see what you're doing. I want to see.
I mean, our listeners can't see either. 1,
no, but
2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, so your thumb is 5?
Thumb that's not even a question. Everyone uses their thumb 5th.
I use my thumb first. Is this a lefty righty thing?
So when you're saying hold on a second, do you hold up a thumb or a pointer finger?
You got me there. I don't go, wait.
Matt, if you were living in gladiator times, you'd be killing people.
Hey, the do or die, right? You don't do that with your pink, right? Nobody does pointer finger live.
Right.
Yeah. Right. How do you do down? How do you do that? It's thumbs down. It's not pointer finger down.
When I ran the marathon, you run and you see this official photographers in the course. So you're like trying to mug for the cameras. It was my 3rd marathon. So I was doing a 3, but I was doing like a 3 that like, there's like a trendy way to do a 3, which is pinky, middle finger, ring finger.
Okay. Yeah. Isn't that like, I think that's the white supremacist thing. Don't do that.
No, that's okay. Anyway, all the pictures, it looks so dumb, and I wish I didn't do it.
This for 3?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is cool. I like this. And I tap my head because it means I hit a 3-point jumper. That's what Carmelo Anthony used to do. A lot of NBA players.
So, Matt, you're holding 3 fingers and you're tapping your forehead. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What the hell was we talking about?
Oh, how long? Idea. How long? Oh, I have no idea. The tenure. Okay. I think 10 years, if you're over age 20, if you're in your 20s, 10 years. In your 30s, still 10 years. In your 40s, 5 years. 50s, 3 years. 60s, also 3 years. 70s, 1 year. 80s, 1 year. 90s, a month.
Yeah, neighbor, your tenured friends. Yeah. I'll buy that. I'll buy that rubric. I mean, I think it's something to strive for. I think that having tenured friends, I like the analogy of security, right? Like theoretically, that's the benefit. That's why we have tenured professors. Like you can be a free thinker, quote unquote, and not worry about being fired, be controversial to some extent. And
Well, I
I like,
love what you just said. I love what you just said because I think the most freeing part of friendship is when you know where you stand and you're not worried about that part of the friendship where like, oh, I hope this person likes me.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. You're free to be yourself.
Yeah.
Like a tenured friend is someone who knows you for who you are and still likes you.
So it's unbelievable. Why?
I know. Like I know every bone of your body, and I'm still like, yeah, he's my best friend.
You were so angry at me this week, though.
By the way, Matt, wasn't that big a deal. Screwed up the podcast a little bit. And then when I told him about it, he laughed so hard that he cried. He made himself cry, laughing at his own ineptitude.
Well, in the same week, I had a complete fail on the podcast front, and then I had a complete fail on Jesse's birthday. Like, I tried to take her to this pottery class. I thought it was at the Grove, and she was like, "It's definitely not here." I'm like, "It is here. I promise." She's like, "Show me the email." And I show her the email, and they're like, and she's like, "You idiot. That's Beverly Grove is the neighborhood. That's not the Grove."
Just honestly,
And then I
like,
tried to surprise her, and I texted her friend, and her friend never texted me back. And I was like, I was really like surprised that your friend never texted me back. I was trying to do this nice surprise for your birthday. And she's like, "Let me see your phone." Showed her my phone. She's like, "You didn't take her number down, right? I don't know who you texted."
it's these are qualities that I honestly I do not like in you.
Yeah, but I'm tenured.
Yeah, you're tenured, but by the way, you really have no motivation to improve because like, where am I gonna? I'm not gonna go anywhere.
Oh, so you're saying maybe there's a bad side to
Yes,
tenure?
yes, that's what I've been saying. Like
Yeah, but are your friends? Are you ever going to fix your friends anyway? Like that's not realistic. Like, are you going to change your friends? Never.
no, but I'm saying from your perspective, you're
Right.
like, oh, I always do these dumb things, but what is what it is.
I actually do get upset about them. I was laughing because it was like a week. I actually told Jesse I hate when I'm very mad, when I have such a Matt day.
I can't with you right now. Okay, can I take a listener question now?
Yes.
And we'll be right back. All right, guys, this is asking for a friend. If you have a friendship question or ethical dilemma, send it to us on Instagram, Man of the Year Podcast, and we will answer it on the show. Matt, this is an interesting one. The listener writes, "Dear Matt and Karo, what is the minimum interaction required to still call someone a friend? I have a family friend I've known almost my entire life since we were kids, and now for more than 30 years, but we barely see each other. I haven't seen her in person in multiple years. We regularly go a year or two without even speaking, besides the occasional Facebook birthday posts." Boomer. However, I still know/suspect she would be there for me if I needed her or if I wanted to hang out. And neither of us are particularly upset about this arrangement, but can I legitimately still call this person a friend?
What a question. We haven't covered this in so long. I feel we covered this very early on in the pod, like over a year ago. Like, what is a friend? Like, what defines a friend? I feel that all of us are guilty of being sometimes overly broad, loose with that term friend, a little loosey goosey. And we're probably, some people probably think we're their friend and we're their acquaintance, right? Like, where's that line? I think it's very amorphous. There's no like line in the sand, but I think there's a lot of it is feel. Like, do you feel good about that person? Do you feel that you could call them or text them without it being weird? Like, if it's weird to text somebody, are they your friend?
What do you think about the term friend emeritus?
So you're no longer a friend? Is that what you're saying? Like, used to be a friend? You're still in a well-regarded like place, but you're not actually their friend anymore.
Yeah, I think
I like it a lot.
because like friend emeritus connotes respect,
Right.
and it also connotes that they are still involved in the organization in this case, your life, but like they're not active.
Mm. Can you ever reactivate a friend emeritus?
So
Or you
that
don't want
is interesting. So say that again.
or do you not want to? Is that part of it?
I think that we haven't talked in a while about bilateralness. I don't know if that's the
Mhm.
word, which is like when the friendship isn't necessarily equal.
Yep.
If you're both okay with this friend emeritus friend emeritus position, I don't really see any downside unless you're one of these guys, Matt, that you talked about at the beginning of the pod who don't have any active friends.
Right. Right. Look, I think first of all, I love the friend emeritus term, but I think the distinction between friend and friend emeritus and friend acquaintance, I think first off, like part of it is like mutual understanding. So, like, what does that friend think of you? If they don't
Right.
think of you as a friend and you think of them as a friend, that's where it gets a little tricky. It sounds to me like our listener, they're both kind of clear they're not really friends.
Right.
And that's fine, right? Because they're lacking a lot of things that are friend related, right? Frequency of interaction is one. Level of trust, like are these people who have some sort of trust between them? Doesn't sound like it. Emotional connection, like do you really care about this person? Not really. So that sounds like a no, right? Sounds like we don't know. Look, we don't know. Longevity sounds like they have some sort of longevity, but
Mhm.
like there doesn't seem to be any reciprocity, what we were talking about, right?
But I also think, like, why not just call them a friend? I mean, what do you gain or what do you lose?
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I said most of us are overly broad about it. So when push comes to shove, why not call them a friend?
Yeah. Cause,
But
cause we, yeah.
you want your friends to be people you could count on potentially, that you could trust, that you could talk to when good times and bad. I mean, I think the reason we label somebody a friend is because we are, giving them these things. That's why you're saying friend emeritus, because they no longer fit all of the criteria. Not that the bar has to be so high for friendship.
I mean, I think to qualify for friend emeritus, Meredith, I literally can't say the word friend emeritus. You need to be able to activate them if needed at
Right.
some point.
Because that distinguishes them from friend and to no longer friend or anything really. Right. You're
Right.
saying there's a level that you could deactivate. It's almost like, you know, uh SAG or WGA or like whatever, where you go inactive, but you could rejoin the guild.
I was actually going in a much darker place, almost like a terrorist sleeper cell.
Whoa, that's dark.
Like they're there, they're living their life, and then you could sort of like, activate them.
I
But
must
maybe,
kill the queen.
oh God, love Naked Gun. Um, but I think it's interesting because to even write this question, you're probably thinking about it. It's unclear if she's thinking about it in a negative or a positive way. If you don't have any problem with having a friend emeritus and you have active friends, I think it's actually good. Goes back to diversity. Having a couple chairman of the board, former chairman.
I like it. I like it. They're still wise, they're still wise. They still know things about you.
Yeah, you invite them to the wedding, and then you talk to them every few years.
I mean, I think a lot of our older friends fall into this gray zone. Are they friend emeritus? Are they no longer a friend? Are they tenured friend? It all is sort of what is the goal, right? I mean, because we could label friends. We don't do a lot of that, right?
Mm.
Because we're not doing our social inventory every year. And if we did, we would probably have a better handle on what is this relationship between us. The fact that you don't know what your relationship is between you and a friend or friend emeritus or a tenured friend or an acquaintance, that speaks to our lack of effort and vocabulary and just thought of the whole friend universe, right? We talk about how the friend is the most underserved relationship, but it is a relationship. So to not even know where you stand with people, we're trying to remedy that. It's not about what you call them, it's about what is underneath the label.
Right. Right. I mean, in some respect, what you call them is sort of irrelevant,
Right.
but it does speak to the deeper issue of like, if you don't know, that is potentially a problem.
Right. Right. Right.
Did we answer this? I feel like we answered
I
it.
think so. I think so. I think she was asking her own self to do an inventory, and we're saying go do it.
Yeah, go do your social inventory. Let us know. Thank you for that question. That was asking for a friend. If you have a question for us, send it to us on Instagram, Man of the Year Podcast. We will answer it on the show. Matt, anything else about tenured friends you want to chat about before we wrap it up?
I just wanted to talk about the fact that tenured professor, you were talking about my look. I just love that it always implies like a tweed jacket with the little
shoulder patch.
shoulder patches, right? Like, is there something aesthetically about a tenured friend that like we could add to this, deepen the analogy? Like there's a pipe.
Aesthetically. Interesting. Can I tell
Like,
you that
does a tenured friend doesn't have to dress up for you? Like, is there some
a tenured friend? I mean, there's something about having a syllabus. Because we talk about planners and fanners. The planners are the ones who plan the girls or the boys trip, and the fanners are the one who sit there and Venmo you and fan themselves. A tenured friend who shows up with a syllabus. This is what we're doing right now.
You always know what you're going to get from your tenured friend, is what you're saying.
Right. But aesthetically, well, it's interesting. We've talked about how your old friends are there to help you grow, not change. One potential downside of a tenured friend is it can keep you static. He keep you in the box.
Yes. And, look, a big part of the pod is, not just, hey, grow and maintain friendships, but also look at the red flags in your life and the unhealthy relationships that aren't serving you. So of your tenured friends, if you've kept somebody around just because of the length and history, look, I think there is a value to those things. I think they definitely have a value, right? We can't just dismiss 30 years of friendship and being there for you. But if the person you are now is not being served by that tenured friend, maybe it is time to reassess. And then we have to, how do you cut loose a tenured friend? Is it the same way as a regular friend? Is there more that needs to be done to end a tenured friendship?
By the way, can a tenured professor not get fired?
I think they have to be killed.
Oh man. Well, but I mean, the answer to your question is yes. But by the way, tenured professors and tenured friends are allowed to take sabbaticals. I think you need to give them that.
Yes.
But a tenured friend, I mean, if you're literally having a friend breakup, which happens, I think you have
usually happens with tenured friends, I would say,
as opposed to a newer friend.
Yeah. Usually with newer friends, there isn't even really a breakup. It's like you just kind of float away.
Oh, I think more is the opposite. Like with a tenured friend, you sort of phase out a little bit.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
And to your point from the listener question, it depends. Are you ready to move on from this? Like, do you remember like when I first started seeing my therapist and I told her about our Man of the Year dinner and our best friends from childhood, she thought it was like a bad thing.
Right. She's like, oh, friends of 30 years, move on.
She was like, they're holding you back. I'm like, if anything, I'm holding them back.
Just me.
The two of us. But yeah, I think when we have had people ask us for advice, like I gotta like these people, it's not a healthy relationship. I have these 5 buddies and like they're all messing around and like, it's not like the good thing about our friend group, both our new and our old, is like everyone's really hustling.
Yep.
Like you feel like a piece of crap if you're not hustling. We have hustle culture in our friend group.
Too much.
I know it's the worst when you have really high performing, high achieving friends. You're like, bro.
Yeah. Fail more.
Yeah. Fail more. Listen, we've talked about this in several pods. You always want that one friend who's not doing well. Because you want to grade on the curve.
Yeah, I don't know what else there is to be said about tenured friends other than I think you should generally appreciate them a little more, celebrate them a little more.
Yeah.
And it's hard to achieve that longevity of friendship. I mean, it's impressive, but also, just make sure it's serving you.
Yeah. Oh, well,
allow other people the opportunity to become tenured friends.
That's great. Well, let's go into what did we learn today, which I think you were doing anyway, which is all good. Just what do you think I was criticizing you? But yeah, we learned that tenured friends, there's pros and pitfalls, right? I mean, you are able to be yourself with them, but if you're not your best self, then you're stuck.
Right. Right. I would say the one other thing I'd say about tenured friends is, you know, your friendship has to be in the present. It can't just be in the past. You can't just get together with your tenured friends and only talk about what happened in high school. I just don't think that's a high quality friendship. I think you can do that, but it can't be the only thing you do.
Well, our rule of thumb: make new memories with old friends.
Yes. Love that. That's a great way to end it.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to your friends. Hey, Matt, love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy.